The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
All right, sir. You know what I'm going to do? We're not going to do this. Is the Pete Santilli show? Okay. And we're not going to do this in ping pong fashion. Okay. I'm not a diplomat, nor will I ever be. I'm a brute force technologist. All right. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to offer up a solution. Okay. You don't even need to respond to the solution. I'm going to offer this to Mike Zullo. All right. Do you believe, based on the information you have on your website, the investigation that Sheriff Arpaio's cold case posse has investigated, do you believe that right now, if you were to put everything into a basket, okay, or a briefcase, that there is enough information, set aside people willing to or not willing to, set that aside. Is there enough information right now that can get Barack Obama arrested if we apply the law? That he has broken the law and he needs to go behind bars. And of course, in a court of law, all of this evidence needs to be presented. But is there enough evidence to throw him in jail?
Absolutely, beyond any shadow of doubt.
Okay, here's what I want to offer up to you. You ready? And I know you can do this. I could call Mike Zullo and offer this. I'm not going to. Okay? I'm going to put out a challenge to Mike Zullo and Sheriff Arpaio that with the assistance of law enforcement, if they have information right now that shows that Barack Obama has committed fraud and perpetrated fraud upon the American people, tell him that I'll meet him out in front of the White House and I will volunteer, okay, with the assistance of law enforcement and the United States Marine Corps and the Secret Service. I will jump over with the assistance, of course, of law enforcement, lawful and constitutional, of the front fence of the White House and go in there and deliver that information. Of course, they'll probably just let me go. They won't stop me, of course. But if there's enough evidence, okay, that he's broken the law, I would be prepared in order to bring this to the American people. I'll live stream it. If Zullo will meet me out in front of that, and I'm not going to wait for an election. If he wants to meet me, I'll jump on a flight right now, and I will meet him in front of the White House on principle, on law, on constitutionality, and with the help of law enforcement, with the military, with the Secret Service, with the Department of Justice, with all of those people. I volunteer to do that. And if they want to arrest me, I'll bring evidence to court to show that I'm justified in doing so on behalf of the people of the United States of America. Can you get that information to Mike Zullo?
I will convey that information.
Tell him I'll do it. He doesn't even need to do it. He can watch me do it. If he doesn't have the balls to do it and enforce the law as a law enforcement official and he wants to wait for it, I mean, he can do that. I will go over the fence with your kit. How about that?
Pete, I'm going to say something on this show that I don't know has been released before. I went and stood in front of the White House on the fence with a banner with everybody that came and accompanied me. Pete, for your audience, I have confirmation. I know it for a fact that there are 2 sheriff kids inside the White House. We got 2 kids inside the White House. Where they went and who they delivered to, I don't know. Now, let me just back up one step. Pete, if you were the president and you said, hey, Mike, I got to show a birth certificate. Go get my birth certificate. Okay, I made up a birth certificate. Here it is. I put it up on the White House website. The problem is he's such a slippery snake. He's never held accountable for anything. Now, with that said, let's get the forger. Let's arrest him. Let's get him in a room with a bright light. Let's stand over him and let's interrogate him. Let's find out where this thing leads to. That might be the avenue to go. You just can't go to Obama and say, I don't know. I sent my attorney, Judith Pauly, on an overnight flight, and she brought back the birth certificate. I thought it was real. Yeah, right.
You know, he's committed fraud. We can sit here and theorize, and he's slick, right? That's like calling me the bank robber, really slick, with lots of friends, lots of political influencers, and we can't arrest him despite all the evidence that shows, okay, that he's committed a crime. Barack Obama, okay, has perpetrated fraud upon the American people, because I don't care who assisted him in posting that thing. That That is him. That's his birth certificate. He knows, based on the evidence that's contained on where's Obama's birth certificate.com, laws have been broken, fraud has been perpetrated, and we have somebody in the office of the presidency that is not qualified, has not presented any evidence whatsoever that he's qualified to be the president of the United States. Okay, Michael Volin, here's the deal. And I'm not saying this as a legal disclaimer, okay? And I'm not saying this because I regret anything I said. I knew what I was going to say to you, okay? I knew exactly what I was going to say to you. Sheriff Mack will meet me. I know Sheriff Mack will meet me right there. I'm not going to ask Sheriff Mack to go over the fence. I will go over the fence under his leadership, okay? Not even his command. He doesn't even need to give me the command. Sheriff Mack already knows that birth certificate is a fake, a fraud, and a lie, okay? And that man who is in the office of the presidency needs to be arrested, not just for the fraud, the birth certificate fraud, other crimes as well. That's to be determined later. We have enough right now for me to do this. I'm offering myself up. You could tell Mike Zullo that he could think that I'm crazy for doing it. I'm willing, okay? I don't go by elections, okay? I'm a brute force technologist. I'm a United States Marine, and I pretty much guarantee you that every single Marine in the White House right now, including the Commandant of the Marine Corps, would gladly stand down if I came to that front fence based on what we know. The Secret Service, if they say, oh my God, we need to go investigate Pete Santilli because he wants to go over the fence. Well, first of all, I don't think they're organized enough, obviously, because they let that other guy that may have wanted to harm the president go. So we need to set them aside. They need to recuse themselves. Let's get the Marine Corps. Let's get law enforcement. Let's get Chris Ann Hall there. I'd like her to be my attorney if they decide that they want to arrest me for wanting to go over the fence because it's illegal, but they want to jump over and ignore all the evidence that exists that the guy that I'm wanting to go arrest has committed crimes. I want her to be my constitutional attorney. Okay, so I'll get John Whitehead from the Rutherford Institute, Chris Ann Hall, okay, constitutional attorney, Sheriff Mack, Sheriff Arpaio, if he has the balls to meet me there, if he's a principled man and a true grit guy with a badge, he'll meet me there. Tell Mike Zullo if he has enough evidence with what he has right now, meet me out in front of the White House fence. That's what I'm wanting to do constitutionally and lawfully. Is that clear?
Oh, yes. And, make no mistake. I mean, we have another announcement coming up. Your guess, as good as mine, said after the election. Let's wait for that, Pete.
You know what? If hold on a second, let me stop you there. You tell Mike Zullo as well that if he has evidence and he's withholding it and he's obstructing justice until after an election, we'll arrest his ass too.
I don't know if I would go that far. I'd rather.
I will. I will say that to him personally. If he has evidence that crimes have been committed and he's withholding that evidence, that's called obstruction of justice, and he'll be held to account to the law. He will. And you know what? Let's set up a kangaroo court. We'll set up a card table out in front of the White House, and we'll bring him forward and say, did you withhold this evidence and not bring it forward and prosecute because you wanted to wait for an election? Tell him he's either wearing a badge, okay, and he's acting in the law enforcement capacity, and he says this all the time. He's saying, I'm doing a law enforcement investigation. What is he, a politician or a law enforcement official? I don't want to speak to Mike Zullo unless I'm right out in front of the White House. I don't even need to talk to him. Or Sheriff Joe Arpaio. You know what? Enough is enough, Mike Volin, and I appreciate your work and your diplomacy and your patience in allowing me to get through this. I'm fed up, dude. This country is destroyed, and you know it. And we need people with some freaking balls to get to the White House and take care of business. If we take care of the White House, then we go down the street and we tell everybody in Congress, pick up your paper clips and get the frig out of here. You're done. We're going to start replacing you with plumbers, carpenters, laid off auto workers, honest people that are going to go in there and turn our country around. Guess what else?
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.